You walk into a cafe you've never visited before. As you find a table by the window, a server walks by carrying a tray of coffee, and the sunlight catches a crack in the old wooden floor. And then, it hits you. A powerful, overwhelming, and deeply strange sensation that you have lived this exact moment before. The light, the server, the crack in the floor, it's all intensely, impossibly familiar. This is déjà vu, the already seen. For a fleeting moment, the line between the past and the present dissolves, leaving you with an eerie echo of an experience you can't actually place. For centuries, humanity has tried to explain this feeling. We've looked to mysticism, to past lives, to dreams, and even to glimpses into parallel universes. But what if the answer isn't in the cosmos, but in the intricate, electrical web of our own consciousness? What is actually happening inside your brain when the world seems to repeat itself? To understand this, we first need to appreciate the monumental task your brain performs every single second. Imagine your brain is a vast, ancient library, responsible for cataloging the entirety of your existence. Every sight, sound, and sensation is a new book arriving at the front desk. This library is staffed by billions of specialized cells called neurons, and its chief librarian resides in a structure deep within your brain called the hippocampus. When new information arrives, the sight of the cafe, the smell of coffee, it's first processed as short-term memory. This is like the librarian taking the new book, quickly reading its summary, and deciding where it belongs. This process is called encoding. If the information is important enough, the hippocampus directs it to be stored permanently in the vast shelves of the cerebral cortex, becoming a long-term memory. Later, when you want to recall that memory, to remember that cafe, the hippocampus helps you find the right book on the right shelf. This entire process of perception, encoding, and retrieval happens so fast and so flawlessly that we simply experience it as a continuous stream of reality. It's a seamless symphony of electrochemical signals, but with billions of moving parts processing an endless torrent of data. Sometimes, a note is played out of tune. A signal is delayed by a fraction of a second. A file is momentarily misplaced. It turns out, déjà vu might be the strange echo of one of these neurological glitches. One of the most compelling explanations is known as the split perception theory. Imagine you are looking at the scene in the cafe. The visual information from your eyes travels to your brain to be processed, but it doesn't travel along a single superhighway. It travels along multiple pathways at once. Usually, these signals arrive and are synthesized into a single, cohesive moment. But what if, for just a split second, there's a tiny delay? What if one pathway gets the information to your conscious brain a few milliseconds before the other? According to this theory, the first, faster signal is processed below the level of full awareness. It creates a rough, subconscious sketch of the scene. Then, a heartbeat later, the second signal arrives. This time you process it consciously. But because your brain already has a faint, preliminary record of this exact scene from a moment ago, this new, conscious perception feels like a memory. Essentially, you are experiencing the same moment twice in rapid succession. The first time is an unconscious glance, and the second is a conscious look. Your brain, trying to make sense of this, interprets the feeling of familiarity correctly. You have seen this before, but it misattributes the timing. Instead of recognizing it as an event from a millisecond ago, it feels like an echo from the distant past. It's like watching a movie where the audio is out of sync with the video by a single frame. You know something is off, but you can't quite put your finger on it. This momentary lag creates the phantom memory we call déjà vu. Another, perhaps more popular theory, zooms in on the specific hardware of our memory system. This idea centers on two key brain regions that work together like a lock and a key. To understand this, we need to return to our brain's library. The first region is the rhinal cortex, which acts as the library's familiarity checker. Its job is simple: to signal whether a book, a memory, or a perception is new or old. It gives you that gut feeling of, I've seen this before. The second region is the hippocampus, our master librarian. Its job is to perform a detailed search, retrieving the specific context of the memory. It doesn't just say, I've seen this book before. It says, I've seen this book. I read it last Tuesday, sitting in that armchair. Normally, these two regions are in constant dialogue. When you see a familiar face, your rhinal cortex fires, giving you the rush of familiarity. Almost simultaneously, your hippocampus activates, pulling up the specific memory file. That's your friend Sarah. You had lunch with her last week. The familiarity is confirmed with a concrete memory. But what if the familiarity checker makes a mistake? Evidence suggests that déjà vu might be what happens when the rhinal cortex fires spontaneously. It sends out a powerful, erroneous signal. Familiar, familiar. But when the conscious brain turns to the hippocampus for the details, for the why, the hippocampus comes up empty. It searches its shelves and finds no corresponding memory file. There is no book. So what does this all mean for you, standing in that cafe? It means you are caught in a neurological conflict. One part of your brain is shouting, "We have been here before," while another part is calmly reporting, "No, all records indicate this is a new experience." This dissonance between a strong feeling of familiarity and the total absence of a source memory is what makes déjà vu so unsettling and memorable. It's a feeling without a cause, an answer without a question. Scientists have even been able to observe this in action. In studies of patients with epilepsy, surgeons can sometimes electrically stimulate these precise areas of the brain. When they stimulate the rhinal cortex, patients often report experiencing a powerful, dreamlike state of familiarity, a classic déjà vu episode, for a scene they are looking at for the very first time. They have, in essence, artificially triggered the glitch. This isn't a sign of a neurological disorder for most of us. In fact, about 2/3 of the healthy population experiences déjà vu, with it being most common in young adulthood. This might be because the brain, particularly the memory-forming regions, is still maturing. It's more prone to these little errors, like a new librarian still learning the filing system. Stress and fatigue also seem to be triggers, likely because they disrupt the delicate timing and coordination required for seamless perception. The more tired your brain is, the more likely it is to make a tiny filing error. In the end, this strange and fleeting experience is not a message from a past life or a window into another dimension. In a way, the truth is even more incredible. Déjà vu is the product of your own mind catching itself in a moment of error. Some researchers now believe it's actually a sign of a healthy brain and a well-functioning memory system. It's your brain's fact-checking mechanism kicking into gear. The strange, unsettling feeling is not the glitch itself, but your brain's awareness of the glitch. It's the feeling of your consciousness recognizing that a sense of familiarity is occurring when it shouldn't be. Ultimately, déjà vu is a humble reminder of the sheer complexity and fragility of the reality our brain constructs for us. Our perception of a stable, linear flow of time is an illusion, a masterpiece of biological engineering that usually works perfectly. But every now and then, we get to peek behind the curtain. We experience a momentary skip, a brief tear in the fabric of our own consciousness. It's a ghost in our own machine, reminding us that the coherent world we inhabit is being built, moment by brilliant, fragile moment, within the silent, dark theater of our own skulls.